Now we're going to talk about drum carders. I have 3 drum carders because I'm spoiled. And the first one I'm going to show you is the Ashford standard carder. This is Liv. This is the 8-inch drum, 72 TPI. It's a wonderful drum carder. I have nothing bad to say about it. It does its job. It makes about a 2 1/4 ounce bat with your average medium fiber. If you use a heavy fiber like Surrey, Alpaca, you can pack 3+ ounces on here. Easy. When I use fine fluffy fibers, if I'm really diligent, I can get 2.5 ounces on there. I often make blends, so that figure is skewed by the weight of some of those fibers, the silks and things. This, however, is the carder that I use least often. I think it's because I'm impatient, but I like to use one of my 2 smaller carders. The first one I'll show you is my Ashford Wild carder. It is a wonderful little carder. I do have one issue with it, and I will show you that. This carder has the same 72 TPI teeth, but a much narrower 4-inch drum and taller teeth. So you can stick chunky stuff in there. Yarn scraps, whole locks, sequins, funky cool stuff. And I love doing that. Also, I don't know if it's just my imagination, but I feel like even though I can pack on 1.5, 1 3/4 ounces on here, which is really close to my other carder, it goes faster on this. Much faster. Not just because there's slightly less fiber, just and that could be just my perception because I do prefer doing chunky funky stuff. So I use this carder when I want to make lightly textured or smooth artsy bats, blends and things like that. And then I have this wonderful, beautiful vintage carder. It has crazy 20 TPI. It's got actual fabric cloth that I love. It's just the coolest thing ever. If you find a vintage carder, get it. If for no other reason than look how beautiful this thing is. If I never used it and it sat on my shelf, I would just ogle it. It's awesome. For this demonstration, I'm going to use the Wild carder because it is Alpaca that we prepped up, and that super coarse TPI is just not going to cut it. I've got a couple clamps I'm going to squeeze on here really quick, just because it's fairly lightweight and I don't want it bouncing all around while I'm trying to show you. Carding. So for a fine fiber like Alpaca, I'm going to keep the packer brush on. If you're using coarser fibers, you don't need to. I actually prefer to use something to burnish with. I have this doggy brush that I found, I think, at a thrift store. And it's really cool. It has this button on the back, and when you push it, it pushes all the fiber to the tips. It's very easy to clean off. If you find one of these, grab it. Even at full price, it's much cheaper than a burnishing brush you would buy specifically for fiber arts. So this has already been picked. I'm just going to pull it out a little bit into a nice long tube again. That's a theme with me. You don't want to pack on too much at once because it will get jammed up on your little drum. So I'm just going to slowly feed this in. Okay? Liv, do you want to do some of the carding? You want to turn the handle? Alright, Liv helps me quite often, and she makes her own bats and she spins them. I usually let her spin on my Ashford Traditional. She makes adorable little puffy yarns. Let me go this way. If you started to notice that your fiber was building up on your small drum, but your big drum definitely was not full, you can use an additional burnishing brush to sort of help tame that down and get it on there. Now, Lydia was carding some blue BFL earlier, and I did not pull that off the drum. It was a tiny amount, and I didn't want to take the time to do it. So it's going to be blended in with this white, but that's okay. You want to do it? Okay. We're just going to do a little bit more, and then we're going to pull it off. Alright, so we're going to call that good. We're just going to do a little bit. I'm going to get that out of the way. Grab my doffing pin. And you're going to find the groove in your drum carder. Slide the pin along it and pull up. Now, I find it easiest to pull down against the back of the carder. I'm going to turn this
It's blue.
so that you guys can see. Yeah, that's the blue you carded earlier. So I find if you pull against the bottom of the carder gently, but with a little bit of a firm hand, you're going to get most of it coming off your drum. Your drum will be cleaner, less cleanup later. Okay? Get that out of the way. So now you've got this wonderful carded back. Now, if I was going to spin this alpaca, I may put this through one more time. It's been prepared pretty nicely, but still there are some uneven pieces in there. You guys can see the little bit of blue on the other side from Liv's carding adventures earlier. And then I would wind this around my hand and make it into a cute little bump until it is ready to spin.